Now or never for Alonzo to Liverpool generational signing. Already decided. Klopp drops shocking bombshell. Tudor exit sparks embarrassment. Isak versus Kane debate explodes. Welcome back to LFC Echo Daily. If you're a true Red, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow and comment to stay ahead of all Liverpool news. How Liverpool could look next season after Mohamed Salah departs, and with contracts expiring, plenty of questions about Liverpool's current campaign still remain. But the announcement of Mohamed Salah's departure has also shifted next season into sharp focus. For the first time since 2017, the Reds will be beginning a campaign without Salah in their ranks. And as it stands, the Egyptian might not be the only high-profile exit in what could be another busy summer at Anfield. But just what will Liverpool's squad look like when 2026 to 27 rolls around? We've taken a look. Goalkeepers. Alisson Becker's future has been shrouded in a little bit of mystery for some time. But earlier this month, things were resolved somewhat with the announcement that the Reds had triggered the option to extend the Brazilian's contract by a further 12 months to ensure that he will stick around at Anfield for a 9th season. With injury having recently struck him again though, and Georgi Mamardashvili back in goal and seemingly certain of his place as the eventual Liverpool No.1 it will be interesting to see if there is a changing of the guard next season. Freddie Woodman, signed last summer as third choice and taking up a valuable homegrown slot in the squad, will have to make a decision over whether or not he sticks around or looks for first-team football elsewhere. Defence. Unlike with Salah, there is little doubt that Virgil van Dijk will see out both of the years on the new contract he signed a year ago, but given that he'll turn 35 in the summer, there is a strong possibility that he will be entering his final season at the club. Joe Gomez is another who will be out of contract in the summer of 2027. With his injuries and age, he'll be 30 next May, perhaps counting against a new one. Again though, Liverpool will want him around for 2026 to 27 unless he pushes for a move. Jeremy Frimpong, Conor Bradley, Milos Kerkez, Giovanni Leone and of course Jeremy Jacquet are all certainties for the Liverpool squad next season, but with little to no news on any new contracts for Andy Robertson and Ibrahima Konate. As it stands, both 2025 Premier League winners won't be around. Both will need replacing if they do go, with Leone and Jacquet surely too raw to step up and immediately become Van Dijk's first-choice partner. Centre-backs Nico Schlotterbeck and Mickey van der Ven are among the names who have been linked with the Reds, and while an experienced left-back could be sourced if Robertson departs, it is worth remembering that Kostas Tsimikas will return from his loan at Roma. Midfield Ryan Gravenberch signed his new Reds deal earlier this month, and Liverpool will also hope to tie down their player of the season Dominik Szoboszlai, with talks over a new deal underway. The future of Alexis Mac Allister, signed in that same summer of 2023, is a little less clear, with the player himself recently confirming that no discussions on a new deal are taking place. Wataru Endo, another of that class of 2023, would be expected to leave. The noises around Curtis Jones's future have been intriguing in recent months, with the homegrown midfielder linked to both Inter Milan and Tottenham Hotspur as he enters the final year of his deal. Assurances around playing time might be needed, but Liverpool surely won't want to let him go. Harvey Elliott will be expected to leave after his frustrating year at Aston Villa, and a decision will surely have to be taken on Stefan Bajcetic after his lost year. But Trey Nyoni will hopefully benefit from the first-team exposure he's had this season and become a more viable option. In terms of potential transfer incomings, then perhaps a Premier League-ready midfielder would fit the bill, with the likes of Adam Wharton and Elliot Anderson linked with the Reds in dispatches. Liverpool have not confirmed that they are in for either player, and both would be costly. Attack. Whatever happens with the future of this Liverpool team, you can be confident that Florian Wirtz and Hugo Ekitike will have large parts to play in it. And the hope will be that once Alexander Isak is up and running, then he can become a vital cog in the attacking machine too, perhaps with Ekitike coming from the left. Cody Gakpo may have had a frustrating season, but Liverpool would have to receive a big offer to even consider selling him, while Rio Ngumoha will surely be seen more often next season after his exciting cameos in the current campaign, and hopefully Jadon Danns can get over his injury issues to play a role. Salah's departure makes the right of the attack the most intriguing place to look for incomings, but with the Reds highly unlikely to replace him, like for like, they could look for a different type of winger. RB Leipzig's Yan Diomande continues to be linked, while others already in the squad can play there. In another news, now or never for Xabi Alonso to Liverpool as generational first signing, decided Liverpool have been told which two Premier League sides they could face competition from for Xabi Alonso, with the Spaniard seemingly already making plans for his first season back at Anfield. Arne Slot is fighting for his future as Liverpool head coach amid the team's poor title defence. The Reds sit in the fifth and final Champions League qualification place, but they are being chased by Chelsea, Brentford and Everton. Liverpool's chances of winning silverware appear slim, as they have been drawn against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League quarter-finals and will face Manchester City in the FA Cup, while they were knocked out of the League Cup by Crystal Palace. Slot will likely need to steer Liverpool into the Champions League qualification spots to keep his job, though the recent 2-1 defeat to Brighton did him no favours. Alonso has been a free agent since his sacking by Real Madrid in January, and the former midfielder's availability is casting a big shadow over Slot's future. Liverpool Chiefs are facing a huge decision on Alonso this summer, as Anfield reporter Lewis Steele has warned that the Reds icon could join Chelsea if FSG opt to continue with Slot. Now, what I heard the other day was a lot of these clubs think that Alonso is quite attainable now, Steele told Anfield Index. However, it is a bit of a now or never situation because he's going to take a job this summer. Whether that's Manchester City, whether that's Liverpool, whether it's, well, I don't know who else, but, Chelsea might have sacked Rosinho by them, for example. So it's either you get him now or you don't, because once he's into one of them Premier League clubs, he's not going to be your man anymore. Liverpool will be aware of that when they come to make their mind up on Slot, and they probably will have. It's not the sort of thing where they can make a call to Alonso in on the 1st of June, for example. I think his future would be decided by then. Reports claimed on Saturday that Alonso has landed on Real Madrid playmaker Arda Güler as his first Liverpool target. Alonso was key to Güler's development during his time at the Bernabeu and is seeking a reunion on Merseyside. Güler would be a spectacular signing for Liverpool, as he is a world-class talent who has been affectionately labelled the Turkish Messi. However, Madrid would want a huge fee of over £100 million to sell the attacking midfielder. Steele's comments come after we revealed on Tuesday that Alonso is ready to return to management this summer. Xabi Alonso favourite for the Liverpool job. We can confirm that Alonso is in pole position for the Liverpool job, despite Andoni Iraola and Sebastian Hoeneß also being liked. German outlet Bild state that Alonso is ready for Liverpool and has already reached an agreement with the club, with Slot set to leave no later than the summer. But David Ornstein insists Liverpool remain behind Slot, despite calls for him to be sacked. All our information, despite reports to the contrary, is that Liverpool are sticking with Arne Slot, Ornstein said earlier this week. There's no thought to changing coach. They are planning with him, and their priority is to give him the profile of squad to succeed. In another news, Jurgen Klopp reveals 2 reasons he didn't want to come back to Liverpool. Former Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp has revealed the 2 reasons he did not want to return to Anfield after calling time on his impressive tenure at the club. The German head coach was back on Merseyside for this weekend's charity match between Liverpool legends and Borussia Dortmund legends, with the match ending 2-2. Klopp was back in the dugout, working as assistant manager to club legend Kenny Dalglish for the game, with Thiago Alcantara and Jay Spearing scoring for the Reds. Klopp admitted he didn't want to jinx Liverpool's Premier League title triumph last season by returning to the club, and didn't want to face any unwanted pressure on his return. Speaking about his return to Merseyside at this weekend's charity match, the 58-year-old explained, "When I left here, I didn't know how often I would come back. First year, I didn't want to jinx it. Now I didn't want to create wrong expectations or whatever. There's always a reason not to, but this was great. There was no doubt that I had to come to support the foundation, and that's why we are here. And the nice thing is that we play a game at Anfield against my other old club, which is really nice." He continued, "It's just nice being here, having absolutely no pressure, no intensity, just here to enjoy the atmosphere, and I can't wait. More than 60,000 people here this afternoon, which is completely ridiculous. And I hope the players can entertain in a different way a little bit." Klopp has been repeatedly linked with a return to the club, with pressure building on Arne Slot this season. The German is currently head of global soccer for Red Bull GmbH and has also been linked with managerial roles at Real Madrid and PSG. Speaking at the Magenta TV World Cup team presentation in Munich, Klopp played down any talk of a move to Los Blancos and said, "If Real Madrid had phoned, we would have heard about it by now. But that's all nonsense. They haven't called even once, not once. My agent is there, you can ask him. They haven't called him either. Right now, I'm not thinking about that. Luckily, there's no reason to. For my age, I'm quite advanced in life, but as a coach, I'm not completely finished. I haven't reached retirement age. Who knows what will happen in the coming years, but there's nothing planned. In another news, Igor Tudor exit from Tottenham paints humiliating picture for Arne Slot and Liverpool. Tottenham finally confirmed the departure of Igor Tudor as its interim manager on Sunday. That it took this long to come to that decision is a damning indictment of Liverpool right now. The news came to no one's real surprise after a dreadful run of results that culminated in a disastrous 3-0 defeat at home to Nottingham Forest, which leaves Spurs just a point above the relegation zone. Liverpool fans won't need reminding where that point came from. With just 7 games remaining, Tottenham has decided that it needs to make a change to save its season, with Tudor departing after just 44 days in charge. It should have been an even shorter spell. The writing looked to be on the wall for the former Juventus boss when he brought his side to Anfield earlier this month. He had just overseen a humiliating defeat against Atletico Madrid, in which he looked to have completely lost control of his squad, and had suffered losses in each of his 4 games by that point. This was a team in the deepest depths of a crisis. That much was clear beforehand, and it has been evident since then. Yet Liverpool somehow contrived to hand Tudor the only point of his reign. It isn't an overreaction to say that might have been the worst result of Arne Slot's time in charge of the Reds, and there are plenty of contenders this season. The manner in which Liverpool allowed that ragtag group of players, with nearly all of its best players missing through injury, suspension, or any other means, to get back into the game, just about sums up the malaise that has descended upon Anfield this season. Slot and his team deserved the boos that greeted them at full time. They deserved nothing more than the point they claimed. Quite frankly, if they don't qualify for next season's Champions League, they'll deserve that too. For that Tottenham side to have shown more fight than the Reds during those closing stages was the most damning moment of what has already been a dismal season. It even somehow managed to overtake a 4-1 defeat at home to PSV Eindhoven as perhaps the lowest moment of the campaign. Jamie Carragher summed it up well as he branded it a disaster for Liverpool, and Tudor's departure now only paints it in a more humiliating light. Yes, he would go on to pick up a win in the second leg against Atletico, but Diego Simeone just had to put his side in cruise control to avoid throwing that tie away. Tudor was out of his depth from the moment he stepped in at Tottenham, and Liverpool should have been his final game in charge. That it wasn't reflects so badly on Slot and his side that the rest of the season feels as though it's make or break now. The Dutchman has to make sure that remains the lowest point of his time in charge, but even if it does, the damage caused by that draw leaves him a mountain to climb to earn back the support of some. In another news, Alexander Isak and Liverpool get damning transfer verdict in Harry Kane. Comparison, Bayern Munich chief Uli Hoeneß has once again taken aim at Liverpool by making an unflattering comparison between Alexander Isak and Harry Kane. The outspoken Hoeneß rarely shies away from giving an opinion and has had plenty to say about Liverpool in recent months, particularly after the Reds beat Bayern to the signing of Florian Wirtz last summer. The 74-year-old, though, has now decided to turn his attention to another of Liverpool's players, with Isak's move to Anfield his latest target. The striker, of course, made the move to Merseyside in a $169 million deal from Newcastle last summer, breaking the Premier League transfer record in the process. His time with Liverpool hasn't gone according to plan so far, though. Isak endured a tough start to life with the Reds after missing pre-season, having gone on strike back in the northeast. He has scored just 3 goals in 16 appearances for his new club and has been out injured since December after breaking his leg against Tottenham. Isak is expected to return to action shortly after the international break, although Arne Slot has urged caution over any expectations for the 26-year-old after a long spell out. Never one to show restraint, though, Hoeneß took aim at Isak and Liverpool as he discussed Kane's own big money move to Bayern, having made the switch from Tottenham to Munich for €100 million or $115 million back in 2023. It was a bit of a risk, Hoeneß told Kicker, but he's played incredibly well for us in recent years. If we consider the price-performance ratio, I'd say 150 million. But then you see that Alexander Isak of Liverpool cost 150 million euros. If he's worth 150 million, then Harry is worth 250 million euros, Liverpool. Com says, yes, Isak's move to Liverpool has not gone well so far, and there will be even more pressure on him to deliver next season and justify that record-breaking transfer fee. One factor that Hoeneß is conveniently ignoring, though, is that Isak is 6 years younger than Kane. Liverpool bought a striker who was entering his prime years as a player, while Bayern bought one who was entering his 30s and may not be able to deliver the same impressive numbers he's recording at the moment. Of course, Bayern won't be disappointed with the investment they made, especially if they end up winning the Champions League this season. But Isak was always going to cost more because of the potential he still had to show, not to mention Newcastle would have been determined to extract as much as it could out of a Premier League rival. Hopefully Isak can begin to repay that fee once he returns from injury. He will need to hit the ground running next season at the very least. In another news, Mickey van der Ven's brain questioned over Liverpool transfer as Rio Ferdinand, example cited Mickey van der Ven, lacks the game intelligence to succeed at Liverpool, according to former Red striker Dean Saunders. Tottenham Hotspur defender Van der Ven is often praised for his recovery pace when fending off attackers, but ex-Reds and Wales forward Saunders feels that top defenders don't get themselves into such desperate situations, citing former Manchester United and England defender Rio Ferdinand as a prime example of someone who perfected the art. Van der Ven has been linked with a summer move to Anfield as Spurs continue to battle against relegation, but Saunders feels Liverpool may need to look elsewhere. When speaking about Mickey van der Ven, he is lightning quick, but I have played against defenders like him, Saunders told ASOR.com. I have played against the quickest centre-backs in the world, but it was never a problem for me. Being a top defender is all about your brain. It doesn't matter being quick if you don't have the brain. It helps you recover from mistakes, but you shouldn't make those mistakes to start. I want to bring in Man United's former centre-half pairing as an example. When Rio Ferdinand and Nemanja Vidic played, Ferdinand always came off the pitch with no mud on his shorts. Ferdinand would read the situation and get there before the striker, and I am just not sure if Van der Ven's football brain is that good and if he can read the game. At this level, everything is about speed of thought. How can I get the ball before Erling Haaland? His brain is fantastic, and I just don't see it with Van der Ven. Ferdinand used to get the ball before me, and other defenders were running after me. I am really not sure about Van der Ven and his brain. Saunders admits that Liverpool face a tough act in eventually replacing Virgil van Dijk, whose contract expires next summer, and Ibrahima Konate, whose current deal runs out at the end of this season. Borussia Dortmund's Nico Schlotterbeck has been linked with a move to Merseyside along with Van der Ven, but Saunders says the challenge for anyone joining the Reds will be a steep one. Well, to be honest, I have not seen enough of Nico Schlotterbeck, he added. I just have to state that if you are playing as a centre-half for Liverpool, you have to be one of the best in your position in the world. It is not enough just to be a good player. It will be nearly impossible to replace Van Dijk, and I actually think Konate is a very good player as well. Of course, he has suffered, but anyone would suffer if they have had 7 different right-backs playing aside you. That's all for today's Liverpool update. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Alonzo in or out, Isak or Kane. See you in the next one.